Welcome to Disturbing Books for Disturbed Readers, your new favorite way to find the most twisted, depraved, and gruesome reads. Each episode features a to-the-point, spoiler-free review of one of my top picks. If you find that we have similar tastes, then come along. Let's find a new story
to give you nightmares.
This week I'm discussing a new personal favorite of mine, the upcoming debut novel from Monika Kim, The Eyes Are the Best Part. Ji-won's life tumbles into disarray in the wake of her appa's extramarital affair and subsequent departure. Her mother distraught, her younger sister hurt and confused, her college freshman grades failing, her dreams horrifying, yet enticing. In them, Ji-won walks through bloody rooms full of eyes, succulent blue eyes, salivatingly blue eyes the same shape and shade as George's, who is Uma's obnoxious new boyfriend. George has already overstayed his welcome in her family's claustrophobic apartment. He brags about his puffed-up consulting job, ogles Asian waitresses while dining out, and acts condescending toward Ji-won and her sister, as if he deserves all of Uma's fawning adoration. No, George doesn't deserve anything from her family. Ji-won will make sure of that. For no matter how many victims accumulate around her campus or how many people she must deceive and manipulate, Ji-won's hunger and her rage deserve to be sated. I went into this book originally with a few expectations. Obviously, I was hoping for some nice gore, some sweet kills, and all the general stuff that goes along with something that sounds like this. I mean, the cover is an eyeball in two chopsticks, so I already had a pretty good feeling about it. However, I was not prepared for what this book actually was. And it's not that it was over the top, gory, or intense. It's that it has so much more to offer than what I expected. The first solid quarter or so of the book is almost entirely what I would consider a domestic drama. The issues in Ji-won's family since her father left, her mother finding a new boyfriend, her attending a new school where she doesn't have any friends. This is all that's going on in the book. And it was so good that I did not even care if it turned into horror or not. I would have read a full book that remained just grounded in that and did not go to any crazy places. Luckily for us, however, this did go to crazy places, and that was great too, but I just did not expect to care that much. If you've been reading horror for long, and especially more extreme horror, more gruesome horror, a lot of times you don't really connect with the characters, at least personally. And I don't think it's typically an intentional choice by the authors, but I think they focus on other things, which is fine because I love the scares and the gore and all that other stuff. But man, something is just really refreshing about being so invested in these personal relationships in a book that is also disturbing. It's not super common in my experience to have both of those in one. So I really, really loved this. And so that first bit of the story, before really there's even an inkling of any horror happening, just naturally starts building into a tension that builds throughout the entire book, basically, until the climax. Everything just felt like a natural progression as the pieces fell in place and everything stacked on top of each other. In that way, it was a bit of a slow burn, not so much that you're waiting on something to happen or that's just letting things kind of steam and sit there, but in that you knew the inevitable was coming and it did take a while to get there. However, if that sounds remotely like a negative to you, I promise it's not, because the rising tension and the super fast-paced short scenes and chapters absolutely made this book just fly by. You were never in one place for too long, but it was, for me, the perfect pace where there was a lot packed in there in this 288-page book, but it was still fleshed out enough that you didn't feel like you're missing anything for sure. And I really felt like I had just been on an entire journey with G1 and I knew so much about all these characters. So the initial thing that I came here for was the gore. And the gore I would describe as just enough to make you squirm, but without being too intense or too long and drawn out. You know, you're not just reading pages about torture and maiming and nastiness and stuff like that. The things that happen are gross and I would hope would disturb you slightly. If not, you're more numb than I. But, you know, this isn't like Exquisite Corpse or Off Season or something like that where it's really detailed into it. Really, with each kill, it focuses on G1's mind and how it's affecting her just as much as it does the kill itself, if not more. But so it does deliver on the gore. It does get gross. One comparison that I kept feeling throughout the story, but I wasn't really sure about, is Mayfly. And I kind of ended up ironing out why I feel like they are similar and why I feel like they're super, super different. The main similarity is that they both are kind of these slow burn stories where everything starts out normal and it's just about people. And then slowly they follow the unraveling of what is a female serial killer who until then has been fitting in as a seemingly normal woman. However, that is pretty much where I would draw the line. If you zoom out the farthest amount possible, the plot itself is similar, but the vibes are very different. And in that way, I would make the next comparison to Sayaka Murata's Earthlings. And the vibes between these two, I would say, are actually very similar. Both authors focus heavily on the characters' home lives and personal relationships, and that feels like the core of both stories and everything that it leads to. If you've read Earthlings, there's another similarity that I won't go into. You probably know what it is if you've read it, but really just the general vibes of following this young woman who feels lost and frustrated and, you know, everything just kind of feels overcast throughout. And that's really where it differs from Mayfly, where everything's bright and vibrant, even though Mayfly herself does not reflect that. So if you've read Earthlings and you liked it, I think that this is actually a perfect recommendation for you in a lot of ways. Another thing that Monika did very well here was just really putting you in G1's shoes. I think she did an excellent job of showing just a glimpse of what it's like to be the child of an immigrant family and some of the challenges that come along with that, between stereotypes, being taken advantage of, frustrations of being an outsider. I mean, very quickly, I was completely empathizing with G1 and almost felt like I could relate to her in these struggles. But these are not things I've experienced. I just felt that I could understand them so well because of how well all of that was written. Overall, my recommendation for this book would be for anyone who loves horror and isn't afraid of a little bit of gore, but really appreciates strong characters and meaningful stories, because this is a rare horror story that captures all of that perfectly. And I can't wait to see what's next for Monika Kim. This is her debut, and this is, to me, it was pretty much perfect. This book is set to release on June 25th, so thank you to NetGalley for the advanced copy. If this sounds like something that's interesting to you, go ahead and add it on Goodreads. Check it out. I think and I hope that this will be a huge hit come June. So go ahead and save it now. I'll try to mention it in an episode when we get close to that release date. I will see how many links are available, and if there's nothing available yet on any storefronts, I will just leave a link to Goodreads and the story graph so that you can go ahead and save these on your preferred platform. And so, just a quick update on this show itself. If you're just here for the book, you can leave now. Goodbye. If you care for a little update on the podcast, then stick around for just this last minute or two. I obviously took a very extended holiday break here. I am not gone. I am back. However, just to manage expectations, all the episodes until now I had released every other week. And I do not know that I can sustain that pace. If I can, I may continue to do that. If not, I may start posting once a month. I don't know. Likely it will just be irregular. This doesn't really have to do with my reading pace, but a lot of it has to do with the books that I'm reading, because some of them don't fit on here. Some of them aren't at the level where I would want to recommend them. So sometimes I might read 4 books in a row and can't put any of them on here. So it just slows me down a little bit with my pace. When I have a recommendation, there will be an episode for you. And if I hit a dry patch for a while, there may be less. I thought I could sustain the pace of every 2 weeks, but I am not sure going into 2024 if that will be possible, especially since this episode is the only one I have right now. So fingers crossed on the book I'm currently reading. And if it's good, then I will see you back here in 2 weeks. And if not, I'll see you soon.